So in this video we'll be turning up some new studs. There'll be a bit of double nutting action. We spill oil all over the conservatory floor. And the dog's having none of it.
Where are you mooching?
Bit rough on the old tub tonight, Jenkins. Hello and welcome to HMS Tweed, where in this video we're continuing work on the 1937 Flying Squirrel. And yeah, we'd sort of half assembled the forks on the bike. Well, we finished putting them back together, getting them on the bike, getting it on two wheels, and then sort of going along and sorting out some of those other jobs that I talked about on previous videos, which you can sort of find in the playlist down below. All right, so let's go to the conservatory. This way. So finally we're getting on to assemble the second leg. I had a bit of trouble with it. The outer fork tube, the bronze bush, was binding down the bottom end here. It was tight at the top, fine here. Obviously this is where some of the wear is, but it's really tight down here. So I had to go back in with the lap tool that I made, and there wasn't enough giving that anymore by expanding it on the slot. So what I've done was cut a slot through it with a hacksaw, but then it wouldn't work, you know, clamp between the two nuts and the two tapered ends. It would just spin around. So I ended up taking it off and using the slot to wrap a piece of emery cloth in like that, very fine one, and then pop that in the bush, and then with my clamp pliers I could work my way around the hone, gripping in different places, and it would either tension it or relieve the pressure on it, and then just wind it round and round. It took ages and kept changing the paper, but it worked in the end. So we got it to sort of assemble. So let's put these back on. Now the instructions say to pop this seal and this backing band in the shroud first and then put it on, but all it does is it just keeps pushing these out. So what we'll do is we'll pop the shroud on first, like so, then the backer, pop that in there like so, then drop the seal in, poke that in, then a little coat of grease on the bush down the end and on the tube as well, just to ease it on. And we need to get this in the right place. So this is the brake anchor, so this is the inside of the fork leg. So we want this oil hole there. There's a little breather hole there, or an oil hole, not sure what comes out of there, but I think oil or grease needs to be on the outside of the fork. And then there's another little hole here which doesn't say where to put it, but I just have it facing towards the back, around the back there, and it should line up with the screw holes, and then hopefully that'll all go together. So I'll put the grease nipple in the side, on the outside, and then the other two screws around the other side. So let's have a looky, see what will go in. I had to do a bit of fettling on the last one on these holes. Didn't quite line up. I tell you, these forks have fought me all the bloody way. They better be worth it. Otherwise we'll be on the hunt for a set of girders. And then the last screw, I've been putting the original ones in a position where they're seen, just to please old Nigel the fin counter. But we failed already because it didn't leave the factory with these forks. Right, so that's the fork leg assembled, got all the screws in, grease nipple, giving it a bit of an exercise. Yeah, it's going to need the weight of the bike behind it, bouncing up and down to bed them in, but it's not the bush, it's that PTFE seal. But once that beds in a bit and you know, the forks are running where they're going to run sort of thing, that should ease up a bit. And that's that little red dot just there. That's your ride indicator. When you're pressurising the forks up, that should just appear below this shroud here, and you know they're set to the right pressure. So there you go, there's that one done and the other one done. So we now got a pair of forks to go back on, but I think that's enough wrestling for one day. So there you go, that's progress on the Scott, and that's enough work on the forks for now. It's getting late, and yeah, I'm getting a little bit fed up doing forks, but they're all together and the fork tubes are ready to go back on the bike. But what I'm going to do is pre-fill them with oil before I assemble them, just to save time topping them up to the correct level once they're on the bike, because you know, you've only got small holes for the oil to go through, and it's a 30 weight engine oil that you use. Yes, I know some people will say, well, use modern fork oil and that, but they weren't designed for modern fork oil. They were designed for 30 weight engine oil. So that is what we're going to put in them. You know, I did look at the sort of heavyweight fork oil, but it's only 20 weight, so it's a bit thinner. So we'll try the 30 weight, see how they go, and then we'll work it from there. Okay, so I've got the fork tubes set up, leaning against the drawer here, and a couple of clamps so they don't slide over as I'm trying to fill them up. And my magic funnel here that I picked up from, oh, I think that might have been the Transport Festival. It's come in very handy, and that fits down far enough down into the inner tubes. And we got some 30 weight oil here, so we'll tip that in, one jug full. And yeah, it might take a while. This is why I'm pre-filling them as much as I can before I get them on the bike. And then we'll have a little look with the old torchy torch down there, see what's going on. I'm sure when the forks are going, the oil flies around all inside, but we'll keep it to the inner tube at the moment. Done this wrong. Never mind. Of course it goes everywhere. Where's my rag? There we go. Okay. Oh, I reckon one jug. I can see it. I think one jug will do it. And we'll pop a jugful in and leave it at that. Might do a little bit less in this one. Might get a bit exciting. Yeah, top that up. There we go. That funnel makes light work of that. I was wondering how I was going to get that oil down there. That works perfectly and was an auto jumble bargain. See, if you see a handy funnel, buy it. You never know when you might need it. Okie dokes. Right. So they've got oil in, they're all put together. So the next thing we really need to do is start assembling them on the bike. So I'll go and move you down there. It's nice and sunny in the conservatory, and we'll continue the fight. Okay, so I've got right hand fork leg. Put it over here out the way for the moment because it's nice and cool, so it'll be a little bit smaller, only a tiny bit. Just oil these up. Seal that. Seal that. Seal there. I'll need my tool for doing these up in the fork tubes. Don't think the bump stop needs any, but we'll put some on anyway. Okay, I'll just go and grab the special tool I made. Okay, here we go. And I've triple measured these because if you haven't seen previous videos, these two holes are slightly different diameters. So we've engineered them hopefully to fit. And yeah, I know the paintwork isn't too shiny, but I know they're going to get knocked about, so we'll give them another paint when they're back in position. God, that's going to be tight. 3 pairs of hands for this. I think it might be easier to assemble them off the bike. It's not the way to do it, but I think it's going to be easier. Oh. Spam.
Spam, 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 baked beans, spam, 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 and spam. Oh, lobster thermidor crevettes with Mornay sauce, garnished with truffle pate brandy and a frying end on top, and spam.
Right, and then hopefully this is the beauty of this. Hopefully I'll just disconnect that tube. All goes down. Like that. Oh, but I can't get those down through there. It's going to be a fiddle. Right, okay, it's not the way to do this. I need to check the fit. All over Mrs. Tweed's nice clean sheet. Right. Yeah, that's better. Better keep it on there just in case the oil burps out. Oh yeah. Need to do now, let's put that on there like that. I think that's winding in. I think it is. Yep, that's done up tight. Yeah, this is why I'm not too worried about this paint at the moment. So that is on. That should go in there. It's nice and clean. I think we need a tappy tap to compress that seal a bit. Okay. Take this one out as well. Again, just squeeze that down. Pull the tube out like that. Oh yeah, this one's got to go this way. Through there like that. Oh no, it won't go that way. And it won't go that way. Bugger. Okay, I think I'm going to have to take these off to get these up through first. Okay, I'll come back to you. So, I had to turn you off. They were getting a right blooming wrestle to get together, but we got them together. This fork tube was a bit tighter over the seals than this one. I mean, it could be, you know, tens of thousands difference sort of thing, or just slight difference on one of the seals being a bit tighter, but it was a real wrestle getting this one on. As you saw, I had to drop it back out of the fork yokes, assemble it off of the bike, push it back up through, put the push fit valve back in with a bit of Loctite, and then push it all up into position. The second one went as described in the manual. The valve and bump stop assembly was assembled up at the top here, fixed at the top, and the tube was fed up through, and that went on quite well. That went on okay. Then I had a fight with the top nuts. One of them was really tight. I've had to sort of work it in, took them apart, compared them. The thread on this one was deeper than this one. Although the actual physical size was the same, the thread went further on this one than this one. Swapped them over, didn't make any difference. I think it was just a tight spot on the thread somewhere, maybe inside here. So I just had to keep working it backwards and forwards till it would tighten up. So that's back on. I can hopefully, with a light bit of lubrication, prove my point that to put the air hose, bypass hose in, really easy. So just push it in there, that's home, and then feed it up into the other side. There you go, that's in. So that's in position. We'll just clamp up the clamp nuts down the bottom here, so everything's clamped together. Give them a squeeze. I will have to take the fork nuts out again to do the oil level, but I've got the forks ready to do that, so I'll show you what we're doing there. But yeah, what a pain in the arse these have been to rebuild. Quite a challenge engineering wise, and yeah, just a pain. I think if I couldn't get them together, I was contemplating getting a set of upside down forks off of a sort of GSXR, something like that, changing the bottoms from the Scott onto the Suzuki forks and milling up a new top and bottom yoke to take them, spray them black. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. And there they are, back on the bike. And we've just left them set to 1 inch distance here between the sleeve and the bottom of the fork ends. And then that should be the level that we top the oil up. And then these will move down and the oil will drop back down in the tubes. But yeah, no oil pouring out the vent holes. They are quite stiff, as I said, as I was putting them together, but I think once they get moving, they'll bed in a bit, you know, because yeah, there's a lot more weight here than me trying to sort of push them in and out. So yeah, I need to get the front wheel, get that on so it looks like a bike, and just top the oil up. Put a valve in there, and then they should be ready to take air. Right, what could go wrong? Right, let's pop a valve in there. That completes the air circuit. Okay, that's a new valve in there. Oi. 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 Chicken on them or something. Just make me feel sorry for him because it's near his dinner time. Eating his feet. Not sure if it's seating properly in this new one. I have reclaimed the old one where the valve had jammed in it. Managed to drill it out, the old valve, and save it. Interesting thing is these funny little valve removal tools, they got a little thread recovery tool on the end. This is a thread for the valves inside there, so yeah, use that to clean that thread up. So I'm going to try this one. This is the modern one, and then if that leaks, I'll put the original one back in. Oh, that's a result. We're pre-filled them. It's going to take forever. See if we can fidget this carburetor out of here. Just give it the once over. Need to give it a wiggle, get that washer off. Luckily I've got the gearbox out, so if I drop any of the nuts and washers they're easy to recover at the moment. Won't be so easy once it's back together. So best sort it now. Just putting up a fight. No, down she goes. We'll just go in with the magnet. One washer there, one washer there. Don't think there's a washer on the other side. See if we can fidget this out of here. Oh, somebody's been beating on that over the years. Okay, nip that down the workshop. Okay, first things first, let's see if we can dress this thread a little bit. Peen down a little bit on the edge. Let's grab a needle file. Take that lump off there as well. We're doing there's still a little bit of a crease down there. See how that goes. They're not the easiest things to thread on at the best of times. There we go. Just work it back and forwards a bit. Yeah, I think that'll work. I think the thread might be a bit gummed up. Yeah, it's pretty mucky. Give that a clean. Bit of a blast out. It's going on there. Yeah, well, I'm going to come off again, that's for certain, once we get it all the way on there. Okay, let's get this float bowl out of the way. Check. We can check the jets whilst we're in there. They look okay. Yeah. I don't know if these carbs have an idle jet on or not. The hammer ones sort of, you know, normally back here there's a little airway there. Yeah, not sure. New one on me. I think these were just for the Scots. I know this isn't a lubrication, it's just, you just use it for cleaning. It's good for cleaning. There we go. One bell mouth back on. That looks better, doesn't it? It's all okay in there, so that can go back on there so we don't lose any bits and pieces. Just lift it up, not too tight so we can move it so it's in the right position. Let's have a look in this float bowl. Nice float in there. Yeah. Somebody's done a solder repair on it at some time. It looks okay. I thought these ones just went through the middle of the float with a little circlip just to hold them in place, but this one's soldered on. A bit of solder on the inside. Yeah, a bit of muck in there. Clean that out whilst we're in it. Oh, we were talking about paintbrushes. One of the subscribers was commenting on there. Yeah, they'll get these ones. I think these for Amazon, about 50 of them. And I use them for putting well seal on and touching paint up. And, you know, anything like that needs a little brush. And then, yeah, they sort of... The ends are pretty good actually. The handles are pretty crappy, but good enough for this. There's some fossilised crap in the bottom there. Yeah. Need a pokey stick as well. Yeah, don't want that in there, do we? No. Yeah. That looks a bit cleaner in there. Oh, no, cut little bits. Oh no, it's just the where the fuel goes. Okay, so I'll pop them back in there for safekeeping. You've got your little tickler there. So that's been replaced recently. Oh, yeah, need that spring clip's got to go around there for that lid to go on properly. There we go. I think that will probably do that until we attempt to get it running. All the airways are clear. Half, one, 1.5. Fairly standard. Yep. All looks good. In fact, that goes all the way through. I think it's just an air control. Yeah, you've got a hole there and a hole there. Right, do it all the way up. And then half, one, another half, 1.5 it was. And there we shall leave it until we hear it run. Okay, good job done. I'm going to look at those studs. That's a job for another day. Okay, see if we can work this lower stud out. So, bit of coil on them, double nutted them down. There's a bit of movement on this, so we'll start working it backwards and forwards. Get to the point that it's finger tight. There we go, get it wound nearly all the way out. Before it comes out, what we'll do is break the hold of these two nuts. Like so. Should be able to wind the stud out. Like so. Yeah, it's definitely two types of thread on this stud. I don't know about this one here. To work on that. So I do the same again. There's a bit of movement on that. Yeah. A bit more willing than it was the other day. I think the coil's done its job. There we go. There's that one as well. So I managed to get all the studs out. This was the short one, and it looks like somebody's wound in. I think the other one as well was a quarter BSF that they'd wound into the back of the engine case. But they should be quarter Whitworth. That's the thread on the good stud. So I'll run a quarter tap back through the casting and tried this on all the holes, and it winds in quite nicely, and there's enough thread in there to pick it up and secure it. I think where these have been wound in, they're just jammed, you know, once they've gone in a little way and wouldn't go any further. So I've turned up one new stud here, so it's quarter Whitworth that end, quarter BSF that end, and I've made it just a touch longer to allow for a Tufnell or Paxolin insulator to go between the carb and the block of the engine. I've scribed on there the shape of the carburetor. I'll cut that out, shape that, and sort all that out. Make up two new gaskets, finish the other two studs, and that'll be all ready to go back on the bike. So there you go. There's the Scott back together, looking good. Yeah, starting to look like a motorcycle rather than a high-powered wheelbarrow. And starting to sort of get my head around some of these other little jobs, getting them together. Starting to have a little poke around the engine, sort of looking in the ports, that kind of thing. Looking good so far. So yeah, progress is progress. And yeah, so on the next video on the Scott, we'll carry on with sorting out. Now we've got the studs sorted out, getting the carb back on, bolted on, and then moving on to other things, getting the gearbox back in, and starting to sort of, you know, link the chains up so gearbox is attached to engine, so then we can check timing, look inside the crankcases, check all that out, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so if you enjoyed the video, as usual, give us a little like, hit subscribe, and look for that little hypey thing down there because it helps us out. And we'll see you next time. All right, cheerio. Right, Jenkins, shall we pop off down the ship? Quick, run, they'll see you. But the forks are coming along,